everybody. It's Elizabeth from Alpus Astrology at alpusastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today, this is my take on September 2022 astrology. And as per usual, I'm just giving you my take on what I see. It's up to you to do what you want with the aspects in your chart and how it's affected you. So, when we look at September, I thought it was really interesting that by mid-month, literally, we will have all the outer planets will be retrograde and all the interpersonal planets will be direct. And for me, this said that the latter half of September is probably going to be a big time period where people make a lot of decisions and movement forward with regards to what anything to do with Venus and communications. Venus in particular, so we're talking about relationships. It could be friendships too. Love relationships, but also money, right? Venus is also money, and we also have our values, that type of thing. So look to mid-month for those folks that maybe do need to or want to make decisions to maybe get a more easily established change forward. So when we look, first of all, at the 4th of September this year, we are looking at Venus going direct. And Venus goes direct at 12 degrees of Leo. So certainly if you've got something around this degree point, this may be a significant time for you. And you can always take days on either side of it too, right? Now, the other thing is that this 12 degree mark is pretty close to a star called Acubens. And Acubens has sort of a combination of energies that different folks have ascribed to it. But basically, I got out of it this whole word of perseverance. So I thought associated with this Venus going direct was some perseverance as well. And I just thought that settled nicely for me with regards to Venus going direct on this day. I also wanted to mention too that it's nice to hear other astrologers mentioning yods. You don't hear it that often, but I think I was the first one to mention it in January in my Venus retrograde in Leo video. The yod that was appearing basically around that 28 degree mark of Leo when Venus went retrograde. So anyway, a shout out to myself, I guess. Okay, so we've got Venus goes direct at the beginning, the first week of September. Now, next we have the new moon in Virgo. And I've just got to say, I really like this new moon. Now, I know there's some things going on with regards to Mercury being retrograde at this time. Mercury will be going retrograde at this new moon in Virgo. The new moon will be at 6:39 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it will be at 21 Virgo, 58 minutes. And I wanted to put a shout out to my significant other, as well as editor Noah. His birthday is exactly on this day. So happy birthday, Noah. And a big happy birthday to my brother Philip, who has his birthday the day before. So both of these guys are going to be affected in a positive way of newness in their life for the following year. That's how it works. Now, we do have the ruler of Virgo, which of course is Mercury, is still retrograde, and it will be retrograde at about 8 degrees of Virgo. And of course, this is the degree point that Mercury will, in a few days, or actually the next day, go direct. So it really is just a matter of around, not even quite 24 hours of the new moon in Virgo that Mercury will go direct. So I really take this as a positive effect, even though technically Mercury is still retrograde at the new moon. Certainly the following day, I would say, is going to be excellent for maybe getting some information to come through. When we look at Mercury in Virgo, we're really talking about, sure, messages and communications, but ones of import, ones of significance. Something that means something. It's just not a lot of data. It's data that actually has some meaning behind it. And so for those folks that maybe were struggling with some kind of data, information, messages, that sort of thing, look to this day, the 15th, the day after the new moon, as perhaps some time period of clearing up and then continual clearing up for the rest of the month. All right, other things that we have at this new moon in Virgo include the moon and the sun trining retrograde Uranus. Well, this, I thought, even though it's retrograde, I love this trine. Trine always brings in favorable energy, right? It brings in easy energy. It's not difficult to do things. What is it not difficult to do? To change something, to do something new, right? Uranus is about change. Sure, it can be unexpected. So for those folks that were looking for a change to happen, this may be ushered in at this new moon. The other thing I thought as well was that because the moon and the sun are directly affected together, this could be also a more emotional, right? Emotional change at this time too, as well as perhaps a physical change, because the moon and the sun stand for different things, but they're together here at this trine. So I really like this idea of change for newness in our lives. Now, the other thing that Virgo represents, besides data and things like that, that is important, it also stands for our health, right? Our physical health, our mental health. So this could also be something where newness suddenly comes in and we can see this positive change in our life. It also has to do with service. So if there's any connection here with regards to service, say a job that you are applying for that has to do with service, this could unexpectedly usher that in for you too. Now we will have Venus squaring Jupiter. And as I've mentioned in other videos, it's really hard to get a bad aspect when we have Jupiter in the mix. So I don't see this square as anything really, really bad. It can bring in, for some folks, a sort of passive way of thinking or being on this day of the new moon. But it can also be, a time period where we can experience love. I mean, Venus and Jupiter together are lovely, lovely energies. And even though it's a square, that's okay. It could be that, you don't do anything to attract in. That's Venus. This expression of love, someone expresses their love to you on this day. That could happen with this as well. But generally speaking, it would be really people just being a little more passive and not taking any direct action with regards to that square effect, right? Okay, so we also have this month, we have the autumn or fall equinox. And that on Pacific Daylight Time is going to be on the 22nd of September this year. And that's when the sun ingresses or goes into Libra at 0 degrees and 0 minutes. That's at 11:49 p.m. Pacific time. So certainly for those on the East Coast, it would be the next day, the 23rd. And I put the chart up here for you to look at and see if anything maybe stands out for you with regards to your own chart. Because if it does, then that could be a time period. It's approximately a time period of about 3 months where you may have some kind of interesting activations of some sort to do with the autumn or fall equinox. So when we look at the next lunation, it is the full moon in Aries. So we're not talking about an eclipse here yet, although we do have the north nodes in Aries. It is on the 29th of September at 2:58 Pacific Daylight Time, and it's at 6 degrees of Aries exactly and 0 minutes. Now, I just wanted you to note, for those folks that like to plan ahead, like me, we are going to have an eclipse very close to this degree. That's also a full moon, but it's a full moon eclipse. It will be at 5 degrees of Libra. And the reason I say that it's close, even though this one is in Aries, this full moon, and the eclipse is in Libra, full moons put the moon in one place and then the sun in the other, or vice versa, right? So on the 25th of March, 2024, we will have the sun that's going to be in the same degree as this full moon in Aries at 6 degrees on the 29th of September. So what does that mean? It means that there's kind of two lots of culminations here. And depending what houses you're looking at. So look, first of all, to the house that Aries falls in, especially the degree of 6 degrees Aries. And then look to the opposite house and see what's there. What house is that? And so pay attention to both those houses, because both those houses are up for some kind of culmination, some kind of endings, or a very big illumination, just like a full moon becomes so bright right in the sky. All right, just a little heads up. I'll still, I will cover that eclipse in March for sure. Now, also at this full moon, what else do we have happening here? Well, we have Mars, which is the rulers of Aries, is in its detriment because then it's in the opposite sign, 21 degrees of Libra. But it is conjunct the south nodes. In turn, that Mars is also sextile to Venus. Now, this setup says to me, especially when we talk about Mars, the ruler of the moon, conjunct the transiting south nodes, it really kind of puts an emphasis on letting things go, right? A lot of times we talk about the south nodes as where we need to let go of something. And so I really saw this full moon as a letting go of some things as well. So again, look to where you have Aries and where you've got Libra. It's those two places that are going to be affected. But because we've got this sextile to Venus, Venus puts a little sweetness in there. Venus makes things a little nicer. So I would say for those folks that maybe, let's just say you want to end a relationship or end a friendship for that matter, this Venus being here by sextile gives you the opportunity to make things nice, to make it easier, to make it sweeter, right? And it does bring in something favorable potentially with regards to love, because Venus and Mars together, right, are the celestial lovers. And Venus, of course, is still in Leo. Leo rules things like true love and new love. So even though this is a full moon, that element can be brought in. And I'm thinking some folks, not everybody, but some folks will have decided probably during the whole Venus retrograde period to let go either of a relationship or let go of a way of doing that relationship and making a concrete change, like, those signposts of I'm now going this way. Or, like I said, letting go of a relationship or maybe a friendship at this time. But then this full moon can actually usher in an opportunity for a new relationship to come in or a new friendship. Now, it can also indicate money, but more strongly because, we've got Mars in Libra and Libra rules relationships. I have a more focus, I would say, on relationships, but it could bring in opportunities to make money too for some folks. Maybe make money in the entertainment industry, right? Because that is, of course, in many respects, Leo, right? Getting on the stage. Or creative projects could come in also under this as well. Let me see what else. Yeah, I think that kind of covers what I wanted to cover. Mercury is going to be direct at this point. And it will be trining Uranus. So I saw this as very favorable too. And I didn't mention that Mercury does go direct on the 15th of September. Well, actually, I did mention it, so that's okay. I've already mentioned that. What I'd like to do, though, is talk about this whole Mercury now direct. So that's positive messages, messages flowing freely, our thoughts working better. Widely trining Uranus says some kind of excitement here with regards to, if it's an inner thing, it's our inner thoughts become excited and sort of more motivated to do things, to change things. You can maybe get these thoughts about, hey, I can see how I can make these changes now in whatever area of your life. This can also bring in just straight positive change, right? Just generally speaking. So for those folks that were maybe affected by this whole Mercury retrograde, now that we've got it direct at this full moon, this could be a positive time of favorable change that comes unexpectedly And maybe it's unexpectedly in our thoughts. We get a little bit of an aha or an enlightenment of some sort, or we get a message out of the blue coming through that is really positive because it facilitates this change that we want to make. And in Aries, we're talking about a change. We're talking now because we've got the influence here of the full moon, which is in Aries, to be independent, right? Okay. The other thing that we've got at this full moon is a yod again. And the yod at its base has Uranus at 22 of Taurus. And then we've got the Neptune at 25 degrees of Pisces. And it is pointing to the south node at 24 degrees of Libra. Wow. I thought this is like a real message in the sky that says, you know, be inspired to let go of things that you need to let go of. Now, when we talk about Libra, which is what this whole yod is pointing to, and it being the south nodes, it's like the path we've been taking with regards to relationships, with regards to friendships, our social, the way we act socially, that type of thing, diplomatic type stuff. It says to me with this yod that there's an opportunity here to let go of the way you were doing those. Now with Neptune, it's kind of like a philosophy. So it might be tied in here with a philosophy that we need to think outside the box. We need to make change. And that's the element of Uranus here. Okay, I hope that helps you. The other thing I wanted to mention about September 2023 as an overall energy is that Pluto moves to 27 degrees of Capricorn, and it stays there all of October at that degree as well, but it will be retrograde. So this is more inward transformation. So I saw this as a positive thing in the sense of Pluto's all about, you know, transforming ourselves. It's about seeing the truth. I think as an inward thing with the retrograde, I really felt that Pluto was extending its transformational energy to help us make the changes that we need, especially as we come into that full moon at the end of September. But remember, Pluto also helps us see the truth. Whether we want to see it or not, of course, is a different matter. Okay, so when we look at October, as I mentioned, Pluto will be going direct at 27 degrees of Capricorn at this time. There will be a new moon at 21 degrees of Libra. And we've got the last full moon eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. That was in that whole axis of Taurus and Scorpio. And that's at 5 degrees. We also will have Mars in Libra as well. So kind of a big activation of all Libra type stuff. And of course, remember, this is where the south nodes are by transit at this time. I wanted to mention that when I reach 10,000 subscribers, which will hopefully be soon, I've decided I will do my first live video. So what do you need to do as a viewer or subscriber? You definitely need to be subscribed to my channel to get notification of this, but you also have to hit that bell. By hitting the bell as well as subscribing, it sends you all the updates and notifications, including the live YouTube that I will be doing when I reach that 10,000 mark. But I will do my best to reach out to people and let people know. But that is what I've decided to do for my viewers and my clients when I reach that 10K subscriber. If you see the 10,000 mark come up on my subscribers, you know that I will shortly be doing a live video with everyone. I haven't decided what the actual subject's going to be. Obviously, it's going to be astrology, but I might just leave it wide open with regards to people reading their charts, because it seems to me that's the most difficult thing for a lot of people. And so I think that's probably what I'll focus on, something to do with reading your chart and how to more easily read your chart as an individual without relying on people like me. All right, folks, let's move on now to the individual signs and ascendants. All right, for Taurus. So for Taurus, wow, this is lovely. This new moon in Virgo is in a fellow earth sign like you, Taurus, and it trines you and it aspects your 5th house. I love the 5th house. And so Taurus, the areas of life we're talking about here are new love potentially coming in for you, a pregnancy for some. Children are favorably influenced at this time. Creative projects take off. You unexpectedly get something coming in that's favorable in one or more of these areas because that sun and moon trine Uranus. Uranus is all about unexpected things. The trine is about favorable things coming in. So really do leverage this, Taurus. You could have something as simple as this: a fabulous, unexpected, creative project comes in for you out of the blue that you absolutely love, right? Now, when we look at the full moon, Taurus, for you, this, of course, is in your 12th house. And when we look at the 12th house, we're really looking at the hidden house. And when we talk about hidden things, we're talking about things sort of behind the scenes and hidden places like government offices and ashrams. They can also be things like hospitals, that sort of thing. But I'm thinking that perhaps what you could be doing is working independently behind the scenes, and that's an important thing for you to do right now. For others, it could be that you've been taking a rest of some sort or working independently, and you're now looking at this behind the scenes work that is illuminated and might be ready to come out into full view. And that full view would probably be at the next new moon. All right, take care, Taurus. All right, everybody. As always, I would love to do your chart. I leave all my contact details below here. Please feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from everybody. Leave comments. I will always get back to you. Please take good care of yourself. And I look forward to chatting with you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.